The anniversary dinner sat untouched on the table. Julian found he had no appetite. His boyfriend, Liam, no longer bothered to hide his phone calls. Julian lit the final candle on the cake. Liam finally hung up. He looked at Julian with a hint of helplessness. He explained that he couldn't stay for dinner. A kid was throwing a tantrum, and he was worried. The elaborate meal seemed to make him feel guilty. He quickly added a promise to return after. Julian handed him his coat with practiced calm. He did not ask what time Liam would be back. He knew Liam would not return at all. Julian simply wished him a safe drive. Liam took the coat and gave him a small box. He told Julian it was a new piece from his favorite designer. He wished him a happy anniversary. Julian opened it, revealing an expensive bracelet. It was a rare design by the artist Aurelia Vance. Julian thanked him, saying he loved it. He truly did. Perhaps his placid reaction was unsettling. Liam's expression grew complicated. Julian offered a gentle reminder. Liam only had 30 minutes before he would be late. Then Liam rushed out the door. Julian stood by the window. He watched Liam's car leave the complex. He then turned and ran towards the bedroom. He threw open the doors of the walk-in closet. Caleb was cramped inside. The space felt too small for his tall frame. A sudden regret hit Julian. He wished he had bought a bigger closet. Times had certainly changed. Closets were once for clothes. Now they were for hiding men. Caleb stepped out. His white shirt was creased. 2 buttons were missing. Julian had torn them off earlier. If Liam hadn't come home, the shirt would be ruined now. Julian and Liam were childhood sweethearts. Their families had planned their union before they were born. As a child, Julian always followed him. Liam had always protected him. On Julian's 18th birthday, Liam bought an island. He confessed his love there. That was when their relationship officially began. Now that island was a check-in spot for Liam's lovers. Julian had genuinely loved Liam once. He loved him when Liam pulled him from a broken home. Liam had promised him a real family. That was why the first betrayal was so destructive. The memory of Liam's office was a chaotic blur. A young man, whose face Julian forgot, asked a question. He asked if Liam liked him more than his boyfriend. Liam had answered without hesitation. He said of course he did. He called Julian rigid and boring. Julian's hysterical questions received a calm reply. Liam told him he only made a mistake all men make. He cheated and then justified it with a popular excuse. Julian trembled with anger and disgust. The word breakup made Liam's face change. Liam told him not to be dramatic. He said their mothers wouldn't approve. A breakup would damage their family's business partnership. He promised he would still marry Julian. He claimed to love him but needed novelty. After being discovered, Liam grew bolder. Julian tried to end things again. He offered to forfeit his shares in their joint ventures. But his mother threatened her own life. Julian surrendered to his fate. He even learned to greet Liam's lovers with a smile. Caleb tugged on Julian's sleeve like a needy puppy. He asked if they could finally eat the dinner Julian made. He was indeed very clingy. Meeting Caleb had been a complete accident. He was a scholarship student Julian sponsored. During a business dinner, a young actor tried to drug him. Julian sensed something was wrong. He called Liam for help. A boy answered the phone. In that moment, Julian knew Liam was useless to him. He stumbled out of the restaurant. He ran into Caleb, who was working part-time at the venue. His mind was already hazy and out of control. He watched his own hands reach for Caleb. After a night together, he could barely get out of bed. Julian had intended to pay him and leave. But Caleb cried and called him a user. He demanded Julian take responsibility. Julian tried to explain his complicated situation with Liam. Caleb became frantic. He declared his life was ruined. He said he could only be with Julian now. He threatened to jump from the window. So Julian took responsibility for 2 full years. They usually met at the apartment Julian bought for him. But today was Caleb's birthday. His wish was a home-cooked meal at Julian's place. The irony was not lost on Julian. His anniversary with his boyfriend was his lover's birthday. 4 years. Liam's flings always had emergencies on this day. It was as if it were a strange holiday for them. Liam hadn't spent an anniversary with him in a long time. So Julian caved to Caleb's pleading and agreed. He never expected Liam to come home early. They were almost caught. Julian felt no guilt about his own affair. In his heart, his official boyfriend died years ago. He only feared being discovered because of his mother. At the table, Caleb dangled the new bracelet from his finger. He asked what it was with a teasing tone. Julian asked if Caleb didn't recognize his own design. Liam was mistaken about one thing. Julian didn't love the brand. He loved the designer himself. That was why he owned so many pieces from the collection. But none were bought from a store. Caleb designed them all specifically for him. If Liam had paid attention, he would have known. Julian's pieces were all unreleased prototypes. His anniversary gift was bought from his own secret lover. The situation was thrilling. Caleb then asked which one Julian liked more. He pulled another bracelet from his pocket. It was more intricate and perfectly suited Julian's style. Caleb looked at him with feigned nervousness. Julian knew he was putting on a show. It was one of his lover's endearing little games. After dinner, Julian left with Caleb. He had moved out of the penthouse they shared long ago. This happened after he first discovered Liam's cheating. He rarely stayed there, even after accepting their strange relationship. Liam seemed to accept this arrangement. In public, they were the perfect, powerful couple. Privately, their relationship had rotted away. Caleb mentioned he disliked the penthouse. He said their couple photos were ugly. He claimed the ones of him and Julian were better. He pointed to a picture on his own nightstand. It showed 2 men in white suits. Caleb had photoshopped it himself. He was right. It was a better picture. This apartment, a gift from Julian, felt more like home. Caleb had decorated it with Julian's favorite things. The warm colors and floral patterns were comforting. It was a stark contrast to Liam's cold, modern penthouse. The word home made Julian laugh softly. It seemed so ridiculous. Caleb bit Julian's tie. His voice was low. He asked who Julian liked more, him or Mr. Liam. Expectation shone in his eyes. It was the first time he had asked so directly. Usually, his methods were more subtle. Now, with the rising heat between them, Julian couldn't help it. He laughed. Caleb's playful cunning was too obvious. He was like a mischievous puppy wagging its tail. But he was Julian's puppy. Julian knew his tricks and was happy to play along. He told Caleb it was him, of course. Caleb was young and beautiful. Liam was too pretentious and far less fun. Julian felt no guilt saying the words. He only felt pleasure. Being with Caleb was genuinely joyful. Caleb's tongue drew a wet circle on his tie. He looked up at Julian like a tempting siren. He whispered that he could make Julian even happier. He asked if he wanted to try. Julian felt a wave of heat. He touched Caleb's face and agreed. Just then, his phone rang. He pulled away from the haze of desire. He reached for the phone. Caleb grabbed his hand, pulling him back. The world went silent in the next second. Caleb held up the phone, now powered off. Julian was about to protest. Caleb had crossed a line. Caleb simply blinked. He reminded Julian it was his birthday. He reminded Julian of his promise to listen to him today. Julian relented. He had indeed made that promise. The next morning, Julian struggled out of bed. He refused Caleb's offer to drive him to work. He had to go back to the penthouse he shared with Liam. He had left an important file there in his hurry. When he opened the door, he was surprised to see Liam. Liam's eyes were bloodshot. It was clear he had not slept. He asked Julian where he had been all night. He stood up, saying he had called him many times. Julian held up his dead phone, unconcerned. He asked if something was wrong. Liam was taken aback by his casual attitude. He reminded Julian that he had said he would return. Julian frowned, confused. He retorted that he never said he would wait. Liam had made that empty promise many times before. He couldn't distinguish truth from lies anymore. Yesterday was not the first time Liam had been called away. Julian truly didn't expect him to come back. He mentally criticized Liam's new lover for his lack of skill. He was the first one who failed to keep Liam overnight. A complete amateur. Julian bent to grab the file from the table. Liam seized his wrist. He asked if Julian had changed his cologne. It was an awkward question. Julian couldn't admit it was Caleb's body wash. The sweet scent of dried roses. Liam hated roses. Julian gave a vague reply. He said he bought it recently. He pulled his hand free. He had to get to the office for an important meeting. He turned to leave. Liam's voice stopped him. He yelled that he had called all their friends last night. No one knew where Julian was. Julian turned back with a sneer. He told Liam he had bought an apartment near the office a year ago. He had told him. Liam was too obsessed with his lovers. He forgot many things Julian said. He didn't even know where Julian lived now. Julian looked at Liam as if he were a stranger. He felt an astonishing lack of emotion. The Liam who once treasured his every word was gone. This new person was someone he didn't care about. Liam froze, his expression a mixture of guilt and anxiety. Julian had no desire to analyze it. It would be a waste of time. He didn't waste time on unimportant things. Back at the office, he messaged Caleb. He told him they shouldn't see each other for a while. Liam was suspicious. Liam was a very paranoid person. Caleb was young and powerless. If discovered, he would get hurt. Julian couldn't bear the thought of his beautiful face being bruised. 10 minutes passed with no reply. Caleb was angry. Julian sighed, feeling a headache coming on. Caleb was generous in every way except for his temper. It was small. The last time, a work emergency with Liam had interrupted their dinner. Took Julian 2 weeks to soothe Caleb's anger. He wondered how long it would take this time. He thought he wouldn't see Caleb for a while. When Caleb was angry, he would go silent. But he would send pictures of his abs or his collarbones. He just wouldn't let Julian see him in person. A total tease. Julian expected the same this time. But after work, in the underground parking garage, he ran into Caleb. Before he could register his surprise, another figure rushed forward. A young man dropped to his knees, hugging Julian's leg. He begged Julian to let him and Liam be happy together. He sobbed that Liam didn't love Julian anymore. The unloved person is the real intruder, he cried. Julian looked down. The man was in his early 20s. His face bore a striking resemblance to his own. Tears streamed down his face. He was the picture of pitiful beauty. This must be Liam's new lover. Julian looked at Caleb with a questioning gaze. Caleb mouthed one word, roommate. What a small world. The city suddenly felt like a tiny alley. Then the drama escalated. Just as Julian kicked the young man's hand away, Liam arrived. Perfect. Everyone was here. Julian. Liam strode towards him but called out another name. Jude. Julian laughed. He remarked how funny it was that they shared a name. Liam's face turned ugly. He looked furious. Observing Caleb's smug expression, Julian understood everything. This was why Caleb hadn't replied to his messages. He was busy planning this grand spectacle. Julian wanted to laugh, but the situation was too tense. He suppressed it. He watched blankly as Liam pulled Jude up from the floor. Jude cried, his eyes red. He clung to Liam's arm. He told Liam not to blame Julian. It was his fault. Before he could finish, Liam slapped him hard. The sound echoed in the garage. He roared, asking who the hell told him to come here. A clear handprint appeared on Jude's face. Blood trickled from his lip. He was too stunned to even cry. He couldn't understand how the man who was so tender yesterday could be so violent. Perhaps it was because Jude's face was so similar to his. Julian felt as if the slap had landed on his own cheek. Jude wasn't the first to challenge him. A predecessor had sent him a picture. It showed him and Liam kissing on Julian's birthday. That boy had relayed all of Liam's loving words. Julian had forwarded the picture to Liam. He politely stated he was busy with work. He asked that Liam's lovers not disturb him. Later, Liam said he had dealt with the person. He had found a more obedient replacement. Julian had simply replied, "Okay, thank you for your hard work." But Jude was the first to confront him in person. Julian figured Liam must have shown him special favor. It must have created the illusion he could replace Julian. If he actually had the power to make Liam break up with him, Julian would thank him. But clearly Jude had also failed. Julian felt a little disappointed. He sighed and skillfully dodged Liam's approaching hand. Liam asked if his foot was hurt. Julian looked at him disapprovingly. He was fine, but Liam had hit the boy too hard. A young man had given himself to Liam. He shouldn't be treated so cruelly. Liam's face grew even darker. "Julian," he growled. He ordered him to come home. He had something to say. Julian stepped back. He said he couldn't. He had a dinner engagement. Cancel it. Liam reached for him again. Before Julian could move, Caleb stepped in front of him. He told Mr. Liam that Julian didn't want to go with him. Didn't he understand? But wait, Julian had said he had an engagement. He never said he wouldn't go with Liam. The meaning was similar, but the words were different. Besides, wasn't Caleb's cover story Jude's roommate? Liam turned on Caleb like an enraged beast. "Who the hell are you?" he snarled. "This is between me and Julian." Caleb stood tall, his expression proud. He was a student sponsored by Julian. Julian's heart, which had been in his throat, settled. He had feared Caleb would blurt out something else. Something like, "I'm your boyfriend's lover." That would have been too chaotic. Before Julian could speak, Caleb took the moral high ground. He told Liam he hadn't believed it at first. Jude had shown him a picture of his boyfriend. He never thought it was really him. Julian was such a good person. He had paid for Caleb's education. Liam was a scumbag who not only took him for granted but also cheated. Liam lost his composure. He was about to hit Caleb. Julian immediately intervened. He couldn't let him touch Caleb. He pulled Caleb behind him, dodging Liam's punch. He frowned and told Liam to stop making a scene. It was embarrassing. Someone could walk by at any moment. He cared about his image. As the words left his mouth, he froze. Years ago, when he first discovered Liam's affair, he had been the one to lose control. He had attacked both men. Liam, cornered and beaten, had said the exact same words to him. The world was indeed a massive, repeating cycle. Apparently, Liam remembered it too. He looked dazed. His anger faded, replaced by confusion. Julian seized the opportunity and left with Caleb. He drove Caleb home but didn't get out of the car. Caleb asked if he was angry. Not exactly angry, just frustrated. He asked why Caleb hadn't told him he knew Jude. Caleb explained he had only just found out. Jude was indiscreet, showing off half-naked photos of him and Liam. Caleb looked at Julian with wide, innocent eyes. He had no self-awareness as the other man. Unlike him, he was always good and never caused Julian trouble. Julian scoffed. He asked if being good involved ambushing him with Jude. Caleb's expression turned sorrowful. He knew love had its order. He was late to the party. Even if Julian couldn't forgive him, he shouldn't think so poorly of him. He explained Jude's plan to confront Julian. Caleb said he was afraid Jude would hurt him. That's why he came, despite Julian telling him to stay away. Caleb looked on the verge of tears. He seemed to be suffering a great injustice. Julian's heart softened, mostly because Caleb was stunning when he cried. And his act of subtly bad-mouthing Liam was adorable. He was like a stray dog, using all its wits to circle around him. So, was it his fault? Caleb continued his performance. He knew his position was precarious. He had no security. A short separation felt like an eternity. If Julian abandoned him, what could he do? He supposed he could only jump off a building. It was a shame, he added. He had bought a new body chain, the kind Julian liked, but it seemed he wouldn't get to wear it now. He would just go throw it away. Caleb opened the car door. Julian grabbed his arm. Don't throw it away. I want to see. He mentally cursed himself while urging Caleb to put on the chain. The moment Caleb wore it, Julian forgot his own self-reproach. He harshly condemned himself. How could he have been angry at Caleb? Caleb was young and devoted. He had been forced into this. Julian should cherish him. The boy had a great body, a handsome face, and loved him. All he wanted was some recognition. Was that so wrong? Not at all. The next day, Julian didn't go to the office, nor the day after. Young men had so much energy. It was a sweet problem to have. Life was so pleasant that he forgot all about Liam. Liam broke down the door when Julian and Caleb were kissing. Thankfully, it was daytime, and Julian was wearing pajamas. Caleb had just showered and wore only a towel. The scent of dried rose from his body wash was potent. Liam, who despised roses, was acutely aware of it. His face was dark as he stared at them. He looked like a furious beast. Caleb flinched. The man who had been devouring Julian moments ago now bit his lip pitifully. He whispered that Julian's husband was scary. He was afraid. Julian patted his cheek. It's okay. I'll protect you. Caleb smiled, satisfied. From the moment Caleb revealed himself in the garage, Julian knew this was inevitable. Or rather, from the moment Jude appeared, he knew the secret was over. Julian, you dare betray me? Liam's voice was heavy with menace. Julian was speechless. The nerve of this man. He laughed mockingly. Betrayal? Did Liam even know the meaning of the word? Caleb clung to Julian's arm. He told Liam not to be angry. He was very understanding. He would never seek Liam out like Jude did. He would keep Julian's compliments about his body a secret. He wouldn't say anything to upset him. Caleb smiled sweetly. He wasn't here to break them up. He was here to join them. He understood that the unloved one is always the third wheel. Julian couldn't hold it in. He burst out laughing. Liam lunged forward. Julian didn't react in time. He watched Liam's fist connect with Caleb's beautiful face. Oh no, that was not okay. How dare you touch my Julian? He's mine. Mine. Liam was like a mad dog, his eyes bloodshot. Julian wondered if he had looked like that back then. So savage and ugly. He pulled Liam back and slapped him across the face. Are you sober now? He asked coldly. Liam turned his head, looking at him in disbelief. You hit me. For him? Julian ignored him. He turned to Caleb. Give me the car keys. Caleb wiped the blood from his lip and grinned. After a moment, he said, Okay. Julian dangled the keys in front of Liam. Let's talk, Liam. Liam shot Caleb a venomous look. You just wait. It would be easy for Liam to destroy Caleb, just as it would be easy for Julian to destroy Liam's lovers. But he never did. Takes two to cheat. They returned to the penthouse. Julian was reluctant to be in this place with Liam. It represented his poor choices and their rotten love. They had happy times. Their 10-year relationship was like a fairy tale before the cheating. In his memory, the old Liam was perfect. That's why his decay almost killed Julian. Liam sat on the sofa, his face ashen. He asked if this was Julian's revenge. If it was, he said, then Julian had succeeded. He was sorry. Julian shook his head. It wasn't revenge. He genuinely liked Caleb. He liked his passion, his sincerity, and his raw, unfiltered love. Liam trembled. Like, don't you like me? Julian looked at him, confused. Why would Liam think that? Had he not been obvious enough? How could anyone be indifferent while the person they loved was with countless others? You're indifferent because you no longer love them. But I stopped liking you a long time ago. Liam kicked the coffee table over. I don't believe it. He accused Julian of being angry. He said Julian was with Caleb just to spite him. He pleaded with Julian, saying he was wrong first. He offered to let this one time slide. He told Julian to break it off with him. He would break it off with Jude. They could have a good life together. Liam knelt by his knees, looking fragile. It was strange. Caleb's tears made Julian's heart ache, even when he knew they were fake. But Liam's desperate pleas stirred nothing in him. When love is gone, there are no emotions left. Liam, let's break up. This was the second time he'd said it. There was no hysteria this time. It was calmer than he had imagined. Liam froze, his eyes red. I don't agree. He couldn't believe Julian would leave him for some nobody. He threatened Julian with his mother again. He said she liked him and wanted him as her son-in-law. He told Julian not to mention breaking up again. It would devastate her. Liam's eyes were red, but his tone was menacing. Julian sighed deeply. Yes, his mother adored Liam. That's why she'd love to know he cheated with her ex-husband's illegitimate son. Be a decent person. Liam looked confused. What illegitimate son? Then realization dawned. Jude is that. He swore he didn't know. He looked terrified. He knew better than anyone that Jude and his mother were the source of Julian's trauma. Julian's childhood was happy until he was 6. Then his father's mistress appeared with her son. His father was a lot like Liam. He knew how to distinguish between a wife and a mistress. But his mother couldn't accept the betrayal. She became distorted. At first, she just fought with his father. Then she started pressuring Julian. She forced him to study, to excel, to be dazzling. It was all to win back his father's attention. Julian felt suffocated. He desperately wanted to escape, to be normal. Then Liam extended a hand. Julian thought he had escaped. Later, when Liam cheated, he realized something. He had only moved from one hell to another. The hand that pulled him out had pushed him back in. But this time, he could protect himself. You didn't know? He asked. Their families were close. Liam knew about his father's affair. He knew the age of the illegitimate child. Caleb just had to show a slight oddity for Liam to investigate. Yet with Jude's face so similar to his own, he felt nothing was wrong. Liam, you guessed long ago. You just chose not to confirm it. That way you could lie to yourself. Liam shook his head. Julian, I know you won't believe me, but I really didn't know. And I won't agree to a breakup. He argued that if Jude was his father's son, Julian's mother would be even more against the breakup. She had spent her life refusing to lose to Jude's mother. She would never let Jude take him from Julian. Looking at Liam, Julian suddenly felt a wave of nausea, purely physical revulsion. The first time Liam cheated, his mother had threatened suicide. She couldn't accept him being cast aside like a stray dog. Julian didn't agree with her logic, but she had given him life. He couldn't watch her die. She was extreme and would actually do it. That's why he had endured until now. He took out his phone. He played the video of Jude kneeling before him. President of Liam Corp cheats. Lover kneels to force his hand. He asked what would happen to Liam's company stock if he released the video. He then would hold a press conference. He was truly grateful to Jude. Liam was slippery like an eel. Apart from the first time, Julian had never caught him again. Jude had handed him the evidence. Liam understood leverage. He was not like Caleb, who was all passion. He asked if Julian was threatening him. He reminded Julian he wasn't innocent either. Julian asked him, "Do you have proof?" He and Liam were rotten in the same way. Apart from today, where he deliberately got caught, he was meticulous. Just like Liam's first time, where he was too frantic to gather evidence. Liam had made the same mistake. Perhaps he never imagined Julian would use the company against him. Liam left in a rage. He didn't contact Julian again. But Julian was busy. He began working day and night. The past 2 years of planning had paid off. A month later, he kicked his own father out of the company. He then shorted all his assets. He went home to his father's angry curses. He had his men silence him. He crossed his legs, enjoying his mother's shocked expression. He told his parents every detail of Liam's affairs. As Liam predicted, his mother was furious. When she learned Liam had cheated with Jude, she nearly fainted. She again threatened suicide, forbidding the breakup. She would not let that mother-son duo win. Julian didn't hate his mother. He knew she loved him. Her worldview was just flawed. She forced her idea of what was right onto him. His tragedy was not her fault. It was his own bad choice. But he had to teach his mother what real revenge was. He had prepared for years. He had shifted her dependence from his father to himself. Only then could he manage her. He asked his mother if she wanted a suicide with a lavish funeral. Or did she want to be the mother of the president of Songcorp, enjoying endless wealth? As for his father, Julian suggested she grant him his wish. Let him be with Jude's mother. Then Julian would give him the lowest possible alimony. His mother said nothing. Julian knew she wouldn't try to kill herself anytime soon. Oh, and he forgot to mention. He had hired 2 handsome men to take care of her at home. Professionals. You know what that means. The idea came from Caleb. After handling all that, he went to find Caleb. He hadn't seen him in a month. He missed him. He knocked, but no one answered. He stopped knocking and just waited by the door. Sure enough, after less than a minute, Caleb opened it. His handsome face, bruised by Liam, had healed, but he had a grumpy expression. His lips twitched into a smile when he saw Julian, then quickly flattened. Well, long time no see. Did you learn a new trick? Caleb leaned against the doorframe. Hey, handsome. Who are you? I broke up with him. Caleb's face instantly brightened. He pulled Julian inside by the hand. It wasn't because of me, was it? He asked with fake innocence. I really didn't want to ruin your relationship. When did it happen? Am I official now? I've been working out. Do you want to inspect the results? When he put it that way, Julian was no longer tired. Inspection it is. After the inspection, Julian was lying back, feeling content. Caleb snuggled against him, tracing circles on his chest. So, when do I get promoted? After the breakup is finalized. Caleb sat up abruptly. Didn't you say you already broke up? Julian explained he had proposed it, but Liam hadn't agreed yet. Caleb crossed his arms, narrowing his eyes. Julian felt a little nervous. He was afraid of being thrown out. Why was he nervous? He quickly explained the situation. Breaking up was easy for them, but untangling their family's business partnerships was not. It involved a lot of money. He couldn't let a scumbag cost him a fortune. He knew it was unfair to Caleb. He asked for 2 more months. He promised to tell the whole world he was single then. In the next second, Caleb smiled. He snuggled back into Julian's arms. He murmured that he was still the other man. He had gotten ahead of himself. When Julian said breakup, he had switched to official mode. It was a close call. Julian admitted he hadn't switched back either. Caleb didn't ask what Julian had been doing for the past month. Julian didn't tell him. They had an unspoken understanding. It was something he never had with Liam. Caleb started an internship at Julian's company as his assistant. He didn't need to work. His own design studio was very successful, but he was too clingy. He wanted to be with Julian all the time. Julian wasn't bragging. He genuinely found him a bit too clingy. So when Liam showed up at the company, Caleb knew immediately. Well, look what the cat dragged in. What does the ex want? Shut up. In everyone's eyes, Julian and I are the real couple. You're just a dirty secret. I don't want to be seen. I only want to be seen by him. Enough. Julian stopped their bickering. He asked Liam what he wanted. He remembered telling him not to meet unless it was about the breakup. Julian, must you be so cruel? We were together for so many years. Can he compare to that? No comparison. Being with Caleb was true happiness. These past 2 years were happier than his 10 years with Liam combined. Liam had called him rigid, but his own male chauvinism was suffocating. Caleb was different. He was truly shameless, and that was a compliment. Julian looked at Caleb. You should go outside. I need to talk to him. Caleb frowned. What do you have to say that I can't hear? Liam grabbed his collar. Do you even know your place? You're still the other man. Julian agreed with that, but he didn't dare say it. He pulled Liam away. He kissed Caleb a couple of times to placate him. Be good. 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. Caleb finally left, albeit reluctantly. Liam looked at him with pain. I finally understand how you felt back then. Julian, I'm sorry. He said they had known each other for over 20 years. Had been together for 10. Did Julian truly feel nothing for him anymore? He begged for another chance. A fresh start. Julian shook his head. A broken mirror cannot be mended. Liam watched him for a moment, then laughed bitterly. He took out his phone. I didn't want it to come to this, but I can't lose you. Julian glanced at the screen. It was a video of him and Caleb kissing. He scoffed. Even my mother can't threaten me anymore. You think this video will work? Liam had already gone to his mother, but she, accompanied by her 2 handsome male companions, had a revelation. She realized how much joy she had missed. Shopping, traveling, spas, and handsome men providing emotional support. Compared to a cheating scumbag, her choice was clear. Her warped perspective of decades had finally changed. She was now eager to see that man broke and with Jude's mother. Of course, this mindset wasn't entirely normal, but at least she was happy. So happy she was urging Julian to dump Liam. Caleb once told him happiness was the most important thing. He was right. Look, even his mother, once happy, became sane. Julian, I underestimated you. I never thought you could handle your mother. Julian smiled. He thanked Liam. Liam had made him realize he couldn't rely on others to pull him from the abyss. Only by climbing out himself could he feel secure. Liam looked at him. "Julian, don't push me. I love you very much. I'm willing to start a war over this. But Liam, you're the one who forced me to cheat." Julian sat back in his chair, looking at him with amusement. He asked if Liam remembered the actor he had blacklisted 2 years ago, the one who drugged him. Liam should know those tactics better than anyone. If he hadn't escaped that night, compromising photos of him would be all over the internet. Liam froze. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I did. I called you immediately. One of your lovers answered. Told me you were in the shower. If I hadn't run into Caleb that night, I don't know how horrible it would have been. I still have the recording of that call. Do you want to hear it?" He continued. "I remember that actor. If you release your video now, I'm sure he'd be willing to confess his past crimes for money. And I'll be the poor victim of cheating and conspiracy. Who do you think will lose more?" Liam's face turned pale. Julian smiled. "But I should still thank you, Liam. If you had answered the phone that night, I would have missed out on Caleb." Liam still refused to break up. He became like a madman. He waited downstairs every day with a bouquet of flowers. He shut down the private island where he had confessed his love. There were no more rumors of his affairs. Jude had disappeared. Julian heard from his mother that Jude's mom dumped his father. The man was now broke. The two were fighting constantly at home. The old affection was gone. Julian thought Liam would keep Jude as a substitute. He seemed capable of such a thing. It was absurd how rotten Liam had become in his mind. He started repeating things he used to do for Julian. Getting drunk and saying he wanted to take him stargazing. Driving to another city to buy pastries Julian once liked. Setting off fireworks outside his house. He even showed up on a motorcycle to pick him up. These stunts landed him in the news several times. Headlines praised the love between the two company presidents. Julian found him incredibly annoying. When Julian loved him, he cheated constantly. Now he was playing the devoted lover. It was infuriating. Caleb was even more annoyed. He was so stressed his body was out of whack. For 2 whole months. During that time, Julian worked himself to the bone. He finally found a new partner for the joint project with Liam's company. It was time for a showdown. He would tell the whole world he was single. On the day of the press conference, Caleb was beaming. Now he's really the ex. Julian suspected that if Caleb were a dog, his tail would be spinning like a fan. He couldn't watch. He grabbed Caleb and hurried him along. "Let's not waste time on him. We have many things to do openly for the first time." Caleb agreed that was more important. "Julian," Liam called out to him. His eyes were bloodshot and he looked exhausted. "Are you really going to be with Caleb? How can you guarantee he won't be a second me?" Caleb started cursing and was about to charge him. "You son of a bitch. I'm not the other man anymore. Watch me fight back." Julian almost died laughing. So Caleb's previous passivity was due to his status. He wrapped his arms around Caleb's waist, who was still kicking the air and swearing. Julian covered Caleb's mouth. He faced Liam. "I'm not gonna stop walking just because I once stepped in dog shit." Liam was stunned. He had lost a lot of weight. He looked awful. Over the past 2 months, Julian had witnessed his regret and pain. He had seen Liam in love with him. He knew that even when Liam was cheating, he still loved him in some twisted way. But that love was like a cake covered in filth. The sight of it made him sick. Liam was in pain, but what did that have to do with Julian? He wouldn't care about a stranger's feelings. As for his question about Caleb, Julian wouldn't dwell on it. He wouldn't stress about a hypothetical future. If that day ever came, he would accept the consequences of his choice. Then he would move forward. No one makes the right choice every time. But to stop moving after a mistake, to keep looking back at the garbage, that is the real mistake. He had to stride forward, to accept new love. Julian didn't care about Liam's words, but Caleb seemed to. On the way home, he kept muttering, "Brother, don't listen to him. I won't be like that. My belt is very tight." He said that although he started as the other man, he had liked Julian for a long time. Julian raised an eyebrow. "Elaborate." 10 years ago, you were a volunteer teacher in the countryside. I was your student. Julian recalled something like that. Before graduating, he had gone to a poor village to teach. He saw many bright children there who lacked resources. He invested a large sum of money. No wonder Caleb looked familiar at first. He had thought it was just a common face. "Don't tell me you liked me back then." Caleb would have been only 12 or 13. No, Caleb shook his head. "Back then, I just thought you were very handsome. It was 3 years ago when you gave a speech as a distinguished alumnus." Just as Julian's heart fluttered, he remembered. He heard people say Julian had a boyfriend. Later, I accidentally saw him cheating. That's when I thought maybe my chance has come. Julian looked at Caleb with a complicated expression. "So when I was drugged, your apparent panic was just an act hiding your ulterior motives. You're missing the point. I'm trying to tell you I'm not like him. My belt is really tight. I only unbuckled it that day because it was you." Caleb's voice was a bit loud. People around them started looking. Julian quickly covered his mouth. "Keep your voice down. Is this something to be proud of?" He paused for 2 seconds, then added, "Let's go home and I'll test if that's true."